Dr. Tawfik Hamid, who is an Egyptian by birth, a medical student, and was, I suppose, recruited, seduced into an Islamic terrorist group. For 8 months he was there. He was with the person who became number 2 in Al-Qaeda, number 2 to Osama bin Laden, and then rejected that. His book, The Roots of Jihad, is available, and his website is rootsofjihad.com. I should just say, because people will be curious, you're saying things, you're writing things that would make you an extremely unpopular man in many areas. Can you go back to Egypt? Are you allowed to? Are you safe?
Look, the government is secular, so theoretically speaking, there is no problem from at the government level. But at people level, certainly some people will not be happy with any sort of reforming within Islam, which is my ultimate dream, is to provide a new peaceful understanding of the religion, which can happen. But there are many forces against this, and these people can certainly attack someone like me.
Are you generally say? I mean, I cannot, for example, tell people where you live, and there are security considerations that were involved today. But are you generally safe?
I don't want, believe me, to think about these issues. I think about one thing, that is, at some moments or time in history, some people have to stand and speak out and tell the truth, and I'm just honored to be one of them. Just as simple as that.
More than 1 billion Muslims, people converting to Islam. We have to believe, well, but it's absolutely true that a number of the people I've traveled in the Middle East are reasonable, gracious people.
Yeah, sure.
They want coexistence, they want justice, they have some valid grievances too. They're not always treated properly. You mentioned how we can deal with fundamentalism. But what about those Muslims who will say, look at the Egyptian government. There are brutal police officers in Egypt. It's a police state in many ways. I mean, there's torture. And America backs it. America props it up. You can't expect ordinary Egyptians to say, that's good, we'll just... They're looking for some form of escape, surely.
When you analyze this issue, we should clearly understand that there could be 2 problems or 3 problems, but this doesn't mean that if one problem exists, the other does not exist. Okay? So the whole issue, yes, there could be some problems, other problems, but this does not mean there is no problem with these violent parts of the current or Salafi Islamic teaching. There are. So it's like AIDS virus is bad, can damage people, and cancer also can kill people. So the existence of cancer does not mean that AIDS does not exist. So there could be 2 problems or 3 problems, but you have to address all of them, not one of them, and try to figure everything around this problem and forget about all the others.
The argument that it's all about the Israeli-Arab, the Israel-Palestine issue. It's all about a Jewish state in the middle of the Muslim world, and if it wasn't for Israel, everything would be fine, and it's all about occupation. Is there any truth to this?
This is absolutely not true, and I will give you my view clearly here. Number one, the Arab-Israeli conflict started in 1948, basically when the State of Israel was declared. The jihadist phenomena started to happen in the late 70s, and it's increasing till now. There was 30 years gap here. The jihadism phenomena that starts in the late 80s is not related in time to the Arab-Israeli conflict. It's directly related in time to the increased wealth of Saudi Arabia, which we call it petro-Islam, that helped the proliferation of Wahhabism and Salafism and this fundamentalist way of thinking. So if you put it on a curve, you can clearly see that the start of jihadism phenomena in the late 70s is directly related to increased wealth of Saudi Arabia rather than the Arab-Israeli conflict at all. In fact, now we have peace agreements with Israel. So we expect jihadism should go down again, if it is because of Israel. But in the 30 years after Israel was declared, there was wars. Yet jihadism phenomena was not prominent like this. This is number one. Number two, if the cause of all the problems was because of the Arab-Israeli conflict, or what some call the Palestinian oppression by Israel, why the Palestinian Christians are not doing suicide bombings again? If the issue again was oppression, we would expect some percentage of Christians to participate in the process of suicide bombing, not all Muslims. So certainly it's not the circumstances, it is other factor here. Number three, if you went to Algeria, you will realize that the Salafi Islamic groups killed more than 100,000 and 150,000 innocent people, including young kids. They used to slaughter them. So is there anyone on this globe who can convince me or can convince any sane person that killing more than 150,000 innocent in Algeria by the hand of Algerian Muslims, is it also because of the Arab-Israeli conflict? Can you just believe this could be related? And if in addition to this, if you went to the borders between Israel and Palestinians, a few years ago, you will certainly see thousands of Palestinians who are very interested to go and work in Israel. So if Israel was a bad country, why thousands are interested to go and work there? Why we don't see the opposite? Why we don't see the Arab Israeli, more than 1 million who live there, are standing in queues to escape from Israel as the Jews escaped from Germany to go to their Arab counterparts?
But come on.
You see, we only see queues in one direction.
Yes, and we should accuse in others, but they were desperate for work and for money. The Arab countries
They should go to Saudi Arabia or Egypt or any other place. But just a moment, they say the Israelis are killing the Muslims, they are doing that, while, just let us be honest, Israel allows mosques to be built inside Israel, compared to Saudi Arabia that does not allow any church or allow you to even have a Bible or allow any book that contradicts the basic Islam. So it's extremely unfair. Okay, if the Israel deals with Arab in a bad manner, we would expect the 1 million and more Israeli Arabs to flee from Israel. Why this is not happening? It's just called in science indirect evidence. It's clear evidence that the Arabs who live under the Israeli control are in a good standard of living. They don't need to flee. They are not oppressed. Why the Palestinians who live under the Palestinian Authority, under their own Arab leaders, are the ones who are frustrated? So it's not Israel here. It is the leadership that itself.
I'm not sure if I would agree with you completely. I would certainly agree, though, that when it comes to religion, there is utter hypocrisy because, yes, Islam is followed in Israel, mosques are built, are respected, and yes, in most Muslim countries, if, for example, you try to build a synagogue,
forget about it.
And more. Back in a few moments.